Hi there, and welcome to another interview. Today, I've got the wonderful Jesseline, and I'm going to ask her the question I ask absolutely everybody. Hey, Jesseline, why did you become a carnivore?
Okay. Hello. Thank you for having me. I became a carnivore because I wanted to lose weight. That was my initial reason for becoming a carnivore. I always struggled with my weight, and the only time I could ever lose weight in the past was if I actually starved myself. So I knew that that wasn't healthy, but every healthy thing I tried wasn't working. So I struggled with my weight. I was going to the gym 6 days a week. It still wasn't helping. And my husband found the Sean Baker, Joe Rogan podcast and showed it to me and said, hey, this kind of sounds like something that you're going through. It might help you. Just give it a listen and see what you think. Because at that point, I'd already been gluten-free for 10 years. So I already knew I had issues with foods. So he showed it to me. We watched it together. And January 2020, World Carnivore Month, we both decided to try carnivore for 30 days. And I never really looked back after that. And it's been a little over 3 years now, and I am still loving it.
Brilliant. You mentioned in your bio on Instagram that you had like some gut issues and some skin issues. Could you just speak about those for a bit?
Yes. So my whole life, I never had, well, I guess I not my whole life, because I don't really know if I was when I was a baby how it was working out for me. But for as long as I can remember, I always had issues with my gut, and I never had a normal bowel movement. So I was constipated my entire life, never had a normal bowel movement. And I was going to the bathroom about once every 3 weeks. It was not good. And that was for as long as I could remember until I was 19 years old. And I went to a homeopathic doctor, and he started doing food sensitivity tests on me and things like that. And we kind of came to the conclusion that I should stop eating gluten. I wasn't diagnosed celiac, but I went on this cleanse thing. And when I removed all the gluten, I lost 20 pounds pretty quickly that way, because I was literally full of shit. And then after that, I never touched gluten again, and I still haven't. And it's been a while. Oh my gosh, how old am I? 29, 11, 12 years now. 12 years since I've eaten gluten. So I went gluten-free, and that helped a little. But then I would start eating the gluten-free treats and things like that, and started gaining the weight back. Still trying to be healthy, eating mostly fruits and veggies. My stomach issues kind of started returning. My skin never really cleared. Even when I went gluten-free, I still had issues with my skin. I got acne in 6th grade. And then it didn't clear up until I went carnivore. So gluten-free helped with my gut issues a little, but carnivore helped with my acne so much. And then when I did go carnivore, my gut issues improved even more. So carnivore was kind of just the cherry on top of everything that helped fix all of my lingering issues that I was getting really frustrated about having in my mid-20s, because you're not supposed to have acne in your mid-20s. It's supposed to be a teenage thing that you grow out of. So things like that. And it was really messing with my self-confidence and my mental health, all of my like body image issues and stuff like that. So the carnivore really helped with all of it, all my mental health, my physical health, and everything.
So you didn't like the way you looked? Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, I hated myself. In high school, I had acne. I was the chubby girl. I absolutely hated myself. But then I kind of had to develop more of a personality, because I wasn't like the hot girl. So I had to like have a personality to get by and make friends. So that, in retrospect, that helped me a lot, because it made me develop a sense of humor. But yeah, I hated myself in high school. I hated myself growing up. I never thought anyone would love me. I hated my body. I had body dysmorphia. I now know that I was suffering with like depression and anxiety and things like that looking back. But yeah, no, I did not like myself or my body, but carnivore kind of turned that around for me. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, you mentioned your sense of humor, and before we recorded, I was telling you that I do love your Instagram. It makes me laugh so much, and I love how you deal with comments because nothing beats humor. It's all well and good getting angry and trying to have a big argument, but if you're humorous about something, that's very difficult to come back to. And if people haven't seen Jess's Instagram, I'm going to put a link in the description. So anyway, and I tell you, it's really worth subscribing. A couple of things I'd love to ask you about, because it's really nice that your husband was the one that was supportive and suggested carnivore. How about the rest of your sort of friends and family? Were they supportive, or did you have some pushback?
No. And we were living in Texas at the time. He's in the Army. So we were kind of separated from our family anyway. I did tell my parents about it, and they weren't on board. They thought it was a little crazy because, I mean, the first time you hear about it, you kind of have that knee-jerk reaction of like, and no, this is not what I've been told. Like your programming kicks in and you're like, no, and you start to like short circuit. But they weren't on board immediately. And then my extended family, I'm not extremely close with. So I didn't really give a flying hoot what they thought about it. But the good news is I kept kind of prying and poking my parents and just like telling them more about it. And then my dad was actually diagnosed diabetic, and he had gout my whole life too. And his doctor actually recommended a carnivore, low carb type diet for him to reverse his diabetes. And when his doctor recommended that, he kind of was like, oh, so Jessalyn's onto something here. Maybe I should listen to her. And after that, and then also when Sean Baker posted his CAC score or CAC score, whatever it's called, and it was a 0, that changed my mom's mind immediately, because she worked for Abbott Vascular my whole life, which is the stent company that does the heart stents. And she said she'd never seen a score that low before, and it just blew her mind. So those two things kind of opened their mind up to the possibility that carnivore was actually a legitimate way of eating. And now they both are ketovore, but they are in full support of carnivore, and they absolutely think it's the best decision that I've made. And yeah, and my husband is, of course, full support too.
Does he follow the carnivore diet then himself?
When he's home, he does, but it's really hard because he's in the military. So like he's in the Philippines right now, and they eat 7-Eleven at 2 a.m. in the morning when they have time to go grab food, so it's like he can't be extremely picky with what he eats when he's out in different countries and doing different jobs and things like that. So he's not 100% carnivore, but when he's home with me, he feels better on carnivore, and he knows that it's a better way of eating than eating tons of junk and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. Going back to your mum there, working in the stent industry, when I got to 50, I did a CAC score, and I'd been high carb all my life, never smoked, never drunk, was, a personal trainer, part of what I do. And my score was 639, and I'd cut the fat off the meat. I was the poster boy for the healthy diet of grains and skim milk and all that, never having fat. And I've never felt better. In the last 9 years of carnivore, I just, feels good. So that's great to hear about your dad and your mum. So that's really good, and good to hear that a doctor's recommending it. I'm loving that. You just mentioned some geographic information there. So where do you live then right now?
I currently live in Okinawa, Japan.
Yes. Now that's a blue zone, isn't it? So that's where they don't eat any meat, isn't it?
Yep. No. No, they definitely eat meat. Tons of pork, especially. The pork here is the best thing ever. It is so good. Pork in America is just not as good. Like the pork here is amazing. It's delicious. I love it so much.
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky to go to Japan about just before I was carnivore, which I really I'm gutted about. I was ketovore, and I love Japan. I went to Tokyo, and did the trips around there and loved the bullet train and everything, all the touristy stuff. And there was meat everywhere. I can remember that. All the restaurants everywhere we went, there was tons of meat, and actually organ meat and stomach, and they eat nose to tail, and obviously sushi. So I think anyone that thinks Japan is not eating meat is completely brainwashed, basically. So yes, now you talked about the gym there when you were trying to lose weight and you did 6 days a week and you were starving and it didn't really work for you, but you still exercise, I believe?
I do. Yeah. I love working out. I don't think I'll ever stop exercising. I'm not obsessed to the point where I can't take breaks. If I'm the kind of person that if I want to go to the gym, I'll go and I love it. And then if I want a day off, I'll take a day off. I'm not super disciplined about working out, but it is something that I really enjoy doing. So I typically do it about 5 days a week because I just genuinely enjoy it.
Yeah. Do you weight train, or do you go on the stepper machine? What do you do?
I do weights. I lift weights. I think that's the most fun that I have, is just going to the gym and just I do like a really simple, I don't even know the gym lingo, a split, I guess, a really simple split where I do push, pull, legs. And I basically just repeat that. And I just do push, pull, legs, and then take a break when I'm tired. And then take a day off when I'm tired and then get back into it when I'm not. And then sometimes I'll do cardio, because sometimes I'll just feel like going for a run. And then I'll just really want to run and do cardio and take a break from weight training and then switch it up. So I'm not like, I don't have a great physique. Like I have a pretty normal physique, but I just do what I like doing. That's my motto with working out, is just have fun and do what you enjoy.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And a breath of fresh air, actually, because I'm very much into being intuitive when it comes to working out, when it comes to eating. So how about you? Do you have a regime, like 1 meal a day, or are you intuitive?
I'm intuitive. So before I started Carnivore, I was obsessed with counting calories and staying under a certain amount of calories. And when Sean Baker said that you don't necessarily need to count calories on Carnivore, I was like, sign me up. I'm all for that. And I just dove into the intuitive eating. And pretty much since the beginning, I've been eating about 2 meals a day. And that really works for me. And I don't really count. I've counted before just to give people a rough estimate who ask me how much I eat, what my macros are and things like that. But just in general, I just eat when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full, and have about 2 meals a day. And that's been working for me for over 3 years now.
That is amazing. And what about drinks? Do you drink coffee, tea, anything in particular?
I drink decaf coffee. I gave up regular coffee a while ago because that was the withdrawal symptoms were so bad for me. If I didn't have caffeine, I'd get an immediate headache and start shaking uncontrollably. And when that happened, I knew I had to give it up. So I went to decaf because I do just enjoy the taste of coffee. I haven't had coffee this whole week though. What is it? I don't even know what today is. Oh my goodness. But I haven't had coffee in a while. So it's not something that I do drink every single day or that I have to have every single day. But on occasion, I will have a decaf coffee. I don't really like tea, so I never really drink tea. And I'll drink sparkling water. That's my absolute favorite thing to drink, is sparkling water.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you have electrolytes in it?
No, I don't. I don't take any sort of extra supplement or anything like that. I tried creatine for a week, and then I am not a disciplined, like regimented person. So if I have to take something or do something extra, it lasts about 3 days and then I forget about it and I move on. So if I have to take a pill or put something in water or remember to do something extra, I can't. Like it'll happen for 3 days and then I'm over it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is brilliant because I don't know you well enough to really say this, but wow, you sound exactly like me. I mean, this is exactly what I coach: being intuitive. Don't worry about things like electrolytes, because you should get it from the food. I mean, that's the other thing. Just quickly on the coffee, do you have that black or do you have cream in that? How do you have it?
I get a iced decaf Americano and I put some heavy cream in it. And that is, if I have coffee, that's what I'll get.
Yes. And people that see my channel know I talk about Swiss water decaf all the time because I have the same reaction to caffeine. And it is a banned substance in sport. It is a stimulant, does lots of things that you don't really want the caffeine. But I like the flavor. Like you say, I like having a cup of coffee. I like the ritual, actually, more than the taste. I just like going for a coffee. It's not the same if friends say, should we go for a coffee? And you're sitting there, I'll have a glass of tap water, please. It's just not the same vibe. And I don't know why that is, but it isn't. So 2 Mad is really good. Do you ever incorporate fasting?
I have tried fasting before, and I do kind of do intermittent fasting just because I'm eating 2 meals a day. So I do it by accident. It's never a purpose thing. I have tried it on purpose before and it was okay. It's again, just something that I'm not going to be disciplined about. I am the laziest person. And I think that's why carnivore works so well for me, because I don't have to think about it. I don't have to plan my meals. I don't even have to thaw out meat. I can just throw it in the air fryer frozen. It's the easiest, simplest thing. I don't have to count anything. I don't have to do anything. I just put the meat in the air fryer and then eat it. So anything extra or anything I have to think about or plan, it's generally not going to last a whole long time for me.
I must ask you about your Instagram. So when did you decide to sort of go public about Carnivore and what you were doing?
It was actually about, I think, a little over a year ago now. I don't think it's been that long. So I pretty much kept Carnivore on the DL on my social media. And then a little over a year ago, I decided, why not just jump full into the deep end and do carnivore content, and it worked really well for me. It's been working really well, so I've been enjoying it. But yeah, it's been a little over a year.
And have you had any messages that have made you I can tell from your personality you're quite bubbly and resilient and positive, same as me, but occasionally I get some messages that aren't particularly nice. Have you ever had messages that have made you stop in your tracks and think, oh, maybe I need to tone this down? Or do you just rise above it and go with a bit of humor?
Yeah, I've gotten critiques from people that I am too hard on vegans. I'm too mean to vegans. So I kind of try to not do vegan stuff as much, but it's so easy and it's so fun. And they make it so easy. So that's a little hard for me. But yeah, it's the vegan thing is usually where I am trying to find where I can tiptoe and play around with that of making fun of vegans, because people love it or hate it. So that's a polarizing thing. But other than that, I don't really care about messages of people making fun of me or saying anything personally about me or about carnivore, things like that. That is I don't care.
Yeah, and I think that's how I feel. I did a video which I was incredibly referenced and took me 2 years to research, and it was about the HbA1c reading for diabetics being not so pertinent for carnivores for very valid reasons. And I just got a comment from one person who said, "Oh, you're going to try and get people to die now," which, strangely enough, because it was a silly little comment, got under my skin. But I thought, no, I'll just rise above it, and I just put, you haven't watched the video, because you wouldn't say that if you actually had an open mind. But it's very frustrating. The one thing that buzzed me and made me contact you was somebody criticizing your way of cooking eggs. Isn't it funny how people get such a bee in their bonnet about such simple things?
Yeah, no, people will always find something to complain about. And I think it's so funny that I can't even make eggs correctly. And whenever I do any sort of reel that involves cooking, I, for one, have never claimed to be a chef. I've never said this is the way that you're supposed to cook things, blah, blah, blah. But whenever you put food online and you're cooking it, people automatically start comparing you and critiquing you like you're a Michelin star chef or you're Gordon Ramsay, and they just pick apart every single little thing you do. And it's like, bro, I'm just making scrambled eggs here. Like I'm just making some scrambled eggs and trying a hack that I saw online. It's not that big of a deal. So I think it's so funny when people, it's just interesting to me that people not only have the time to watch the video, but then it upsets them so much that they have to comment on the video. I love it. I love the internet for that. So I love those comments because then it makes me have more content ideas that I can make, because then I can make a video talking about the comment and make fun of the comment. So I enjoy it. The internet is amazing. It's the wild, wild west, and people just say what they want, and it's so entertaining.
I know. I did crispy chicken thighs in my new Ninja fryer, and it was very quick, which is the whole point of the Ninja. It's very quick. And I had about 4 comments all along the lines of, well, it can't be crispy. look, I've got a video. You can see it's crispy. Use your anyway. It just makes me laugh what people trying to pick up on. So, you've managed to get about 68,000 followers on Instagram. So you're obviously doing something right. Do you have a particular favorite food? Do you have a go-to meal that you like? And the other thing I want to ask actually is, have you found over the last 3 years that your palate has changed? Maybe when you started Carnivore, you liked a certain thing and now you don't, and you like this other thing instead. Has it evolved?
Yeah, I definitely go through moods. And I've constantly done that since I started Carnivore. And right now I'm really into eggs. I've been eating so many eggs lately. So that's the thing I'm into. And then in a week or a couple weeks, who knows, I'll probably be over eggs and then move on to the next thing that I like. But in general, of course, beef is going to always be my favorite. I don't think you can ever really get tired of beef. Ribeye is going to be my all-time favorite steak. So if I had to choose one thing to eat forever and couldn't change it, it would of course be a ribeye. But yeah, I definitely go through these moods where I want more chicken or I want more pork, or then I don't want chicken and I just want eggs, and then I don't want anything but beef. And I just kind of go with it and just listen to what my body is craving. And I don't try to follow any trends or do anything specific. I just eat what sounds good to me and follow what my body wants. But definitely in the beginning, I had an aversion to fat because, like I said, my dad had gout and we didn't have red meat growing up in our house. So I was always used to eating lean meats like white meat, chicken, fish, things like that. So when I started Carnivore and we went to the store and got a bunch of ribeyes, and they were really fatty, delicious ribeyes, I wasn't used to having all of that fat on my plate. So I would cut it off and give it to my husband, and it just, the sight of it would make me sick because it was like gross and jello-y and white and just mental block, you know? So I had to get over that really quickly because I knew how important fat is when you're not eating carbs, because I did do some research before I started the carnivore diet and look into what's going on in your body and things like that. So my palate did change with that to where now I love fat. It's my favorite part of the steak, but I had to take that really slowly. That took me a while to get there.
Do you add fat? I mean, do you add butter and those sort of things?
Yes, I will add butter. If I'm eating something that doesn't have a lot of fat in it, I'll definitely add butter. But usually if I have a fatty ribeye, I'll just put salt on it and just eat it like that.
And what about fish? I mean, you're in Japan where they're famous for their sushi.
Yeah, no, I am not a huge fan of fish. I don't eat a lot of fish. If I do, I like scallops and I'll eat shrimp sometimes. But other than that, I'm not a huge fish person. I ate fish before because it was a lean meat and I thought it was healthy. But so before I did Carnivore, when I was trying to be healthy, I did a NPC competition where I literally just ate tilapia and 7 pieces of asparagus twice a day. I forget how frequently, but I was literally starving myself. It was not good. and I lost a bunch of weight. I did this competition, but I just ate so much tilapia for 2 months straight. I had just tilapia and 7 pieces of asparagus. And just now it's just, I think I just ruined fish for the rest of my life. I'm just not really a fish person anymore. And I don't know. But scallops and shrimp I can still do.
Yeah, I love scallops. Actually, up until I went low carb, keto, and then carnivore, I was highly allergic to fish. I couldn't eat any fish, and I couldn't even stand next to like a wet fish market stall. I would start to be itchy. And then as I went low carb and keto, I was able to basically tolerate more and more fish. And so I love fish because I spent 50 years not being able to eat it. So I'm really loving all the fish. And the only thing I can't eat now is cod for some reason. But it was lucky going to Japan because I wanted to try the sushi. And I love salmon and all that. But yes, I think I'm with you on the best carnivore food is ribeye. And I'd never eaten a ribeye until I was 55. I'd never even eaten one. So all that time I've been missing it. I think every time a ribeye is on the plate, it's like, oh, catching up. I'm trying to for what I lost. Just going back to your presence now on Instagram and what you do. Do you do any coaching? Do you actually offer that now?
Yeah, I'm part of a group called Carnivore Revolution, which is just a group coaching that I do with 4 other people. And we have 2 meetings a week, and it's just a month-long thing. So I'm part of that, but I don't do any one-on-one coaching.
Because I've interviewed Serena and delighted to meet you, Jen, and they're brilliant. And Jen is very like you, isn't she, with a really good Instagram? And I think it's just great that there's people out there now in all walks of life, different ages, different backgrounds, trying to help people. I mean, what sort of buzz do you get from the group coaching when you see the difference in people?
Oh, it's amazing. And I think people really don't understand how powerful being a part of a community is, and just in general, but especially with something like this, especially if you're going through struggling with food addiction and sugar addiction, things like that. A community can be so helpful just to keep you on track. And it's just human nature if you're a part of a group, to stick with something. And so if carnivore is something that you are serious about, then a group is going to help you take it more seriously and stick with it in the long run versus trying to do it on your own. And it's so fun just watching people heal and hearing their stories and being able to help them when I can and encourage them. I don't think I'm the smartest person. I definitely know I'm not the smartest person in the world. But I'm really good at like being a cheerleader and encouraging people. I think that's where my talents lie. More than telling people what to do is that's why we have that group too, to where I don't have to put on all these hats. I can just like be what I'm really good at, which is like encouraging and being the cheerleader. So that's kind of my role in the group, is just yay.
yeah. And I think actually also listening, just letting people vent their frustrations or just talk about the things. For instance, I talked about pushback. A lot of people get pushback from friends and family or from their doctor, and they don't understand, especially when, I use this. It is sort of humorous, but it is real. People will say to me, I've been just back from the doctor. I've lost 70 pounds. I've lowered my blood pressure. I'm off my diabetic meds. I feel great. And he asked what I did, and I said, it's carnivore. And he said, oh, that'll kill you. Right. And it's like, are you not looking at the person? So I feel coaching is sometimes just that voice of reason to be able to say to someone, well, look at the sense. You've lost a ton of weight. You feel better. Your blood pressure's down. You're off your meds. Your anxiety's gone. I mean, these are all your skin's better. You must be doing something right. Surely you're doing something right. And I think that's the biggest frustration for me is people have lost sight of their own eyes and their own experience. So I think in a group, they see other people that are like-minded and having the same frustrations. And they think, oh, well, it's not me. Because I do feel, I can remember the first time I went out and had a meal out in a restaurant, and I was, I came out as carnivore sort of thing. And my wife's daughter went, yes, he's the weird one to the server, you know, and it's like, yeah, I'm the weird one. but when you think about it, people getting triggered by you not having any bread is just pathetic, really. It's like, so I use humor. I just diffuse those situations with that sort of thing. So if my doctor had said that to me, I'd be like, well, look, I haven't been here for 10 years. I'm not pre-diabetic. You know, my CAC score, by the way, was 639. I should have been dead 9 years ago, apparently. So I just try to sort of lighten the mood. And I think it's great what you're doing. And like I say, I've interviewed Serena and Jen, and I think the Carnivore Revolution is doing some really good work there, actually. So 3 years, do you think it's sustainable then, this way of eating?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's sustainable. I wouldn't say that everyone has to be carnivore, and I don't think that everyone needs to be carnivore in the long term. I definitely think carnivore can help healing, but I don't want to make it seem like people have to eat this way for the rest of their life if they don't want to. I have no issue with people like trying carnivore as an elimination diet and then adding different things back into their lives if they feel comfortable with that. And I think that that's a really valid thing to do. And in the carnivore community, I think it's really easy to kind of take the stance of, I'm going to be carnivore forever. I'm never going to eat anything else, because you kind of want to protect the carnivore diet name, because for some reason people think that if you eat something outside of carnivore, all of a sudden you're going to tarnish the name of carnivore. And that's not really what it's about. It's about healing and healing yourself. So I don't know. And I'm kind of loosey-goosey on that one, to where I don't think people have to be carnivore for the rest of their life, but I do think it's sustainable if you have to do it. Like if you're Michaela Peterson level sick, then I 100% think it's sustainable. But if you're not, like my husband doesn't have any sort of health issues. He just does it because he knows it's healthier. He feels better on it. That he's less bloated, things like that. So he's not 100% strict because he doesn't really need to be, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know exactly what you're saying. I'm just letting you speak because it's brilliant information. So if someone's sitting on the fence, they're listening to this and they're thinking, I've heard 3 of these interviews and it's very compelling. What would you say to someone that's sitting on the fence about trying carnivore?
Oh, I mean, just give it a shot. Do 30 days. It's not going to kill you for 30 days, so, especially if you have health issues. I think people take for granted so much. You don't realize how good you could feel. And you kind of just get used to having the headache, being bloated, having back pain, having joint pain. And it kind of is one of those things where it's because I'm this age, or, oh, that's life. And you kind of sweep it under the rug and excuse it. But when you do carnivore and you start to feel better, you start to realize, holy cow, I can sleep great. I can feel great. I can look great. And I can eat amazing food. So I think that if you have health issues, even the ones that you don't think really are that prominent, but just are kind of nagging, annoying little issues, give it a shot. Use it as just an elimination diet. See how you feel for 30 days. It's delicious. I don't think you're going to get bored of eating ribeyes and cheese if you're good with dairy and pork and chicken wings and things like that. So just try it, and you never know. It might change your life like it did mine.
Wow, that was really interesting. I love that guest. Absolutely amazing. If you like stuff like that, don't forget to look at this video next. And while you're at it, look in the description, download the Carnivore Experience app.